Nice to talk to you. Yeah, born and bred in Lusaka, and that's where the whole story started. Midfielder.
Yeah.
But was that the only thing about you?
No,
Midfielder.
No. I also played in defense. In fact, as a young boy, I was playing central defense.
Phew.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your times, formative years, and the curiosity is, what positions did you end up playing until people got to know who William Njobvu was?
Yeah, so at academy, which is Paramba, I played as a number 5, and if you can recall, back in the days it was sweeper. So you have one that man marking and a sweeper, and I was like a sweeper because the coaches thought I play well as a sweeper. And then I played after was promoted to under 17s because I was younger. So the coaches thought that I'm young, and also my height did not help me to remain a central defender. So Coach Albert Mpande decided that I should be playing right back or left back. I played either way, depending on which position was the.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, you there and where the left or the right of the central defense?
Central defense, I played as a sweeper. So back then it was not like.
So it would be something like
was
that.
When you're defending all the time, the number 4 is the one that picks a striker, and you stand either this side or this side, depending on where you think the ball will drop if the striker touches this ball.
So what were the issues? Playing as a central defender, and because of your height. And I'm sure now, because Zambian football at the time was traditionally wing play, you'd have a lot of crosses you needed to deal with.
Yes.
At what point did you even just believe to say, no, you know what, I can't play this position?
I think as years went by, I started to. I wanted to be more. I felt like I want to go forward more. So the time that I decided to go play Premier League football is the time that I decided that now I'll play in midfield, and I'm going to be an attacking midfielder. And fortunately, it worked well for me because I also was in the hands of, I think, right people, the right coaches in the beginning.
Now, I'm just curious that you moved from that position to play there. The switch balls, the balls would somehow fly over the top. Were you required to tuck in?
Yes, of course. The main reason also is because I had a good work rate, which I still have, because it is like one of my strengths. I like to work, so like to run forward. I can run, cover the central defense. I can cover myself. So usually it is a principle of number 2, a left wing or a right wing, to all the time be the cover for the defense if the ball is on the other side of the field.
So interesting. So in your formative years, you never played any position other than defense. So born a defender, so to speak.
Yeah, I cannot say really born a defender, because like my first attempt on when I started playing football, I said, okay, I play number 8. I didn't even understand what it meant to play number 8. I just thought it sounds cool to play number 8. So I said I play number 8. But in the process, I think the coaches thought that no, you are not number 8. You are good, a good sweeper. So they decided to put me as a sweeper. So I can say that from the beginning of my career, I was a defender.
I'm also curious, when you were playing that sweeper role in your formative years, how did Albert Mpande want you to start? Would you start from the back, or you hook the ball forward, then move up with the team? What was the demand playing for Albert Mpande's youth team?
So Chiparamba philosophy, this was a Chiparamba philosophy. It was not necessarily for the coach's philosophy. It was this is the system. It was a system, a program that was put on the table and said, here we play football. So from the beginning, I learned how to start from the back, and I felt comfortable playing from the back. So it was much easier for me going forward to play in these advanced positions.
Okay, so you make your first Premier League appearance at Lusaka Dynamos.
Yes.
Right there, you worked with, among others, Phyton Semkonda, the late, and also Adam Tapa. Let me start with Phyton Semkonda. When you arrived at Lusaka Dynamos, what system did you find them playing, and where were you required to play?
Lusaka Dynamos, I think traditionally they played, the time that I arrived at this club, I found that they play 4-3-3. So I remember in my first game I played with then Dono Yobe, he was our captain, and William Njobvu. I don't know if you still remember him. So I played, this was my first game, like as a young player coming from an academy. So I played in front of, me and Dono played in front of William Njobvu. So the LOD, I found then the coach was Winston Mumba. It was not, it was, this is the coach that I found at LOD. So it was a 4-3-3 formation, and with a lot of experience that we had, I was lucky that I found a team that is already well established. So it was much easier for me to just come and fit in.
So I'm just thinking, Dono Yobe with his work rate, and where would you be placed now? In the left or on the right? And how did the whole team want to play in terms of getting goals and the defensive responsibilities? How was that apportioned?
So when I remember the first game, I was in the left side of the 4-3-3 formation in front of number 6. So I was, and the kind of the way that the coach wanted us to go into attacks, attack is, in most cases we would want this kind of movement. When for example, we start with a number 3, all the time he wanted this kind of movement, and so this kind of movement. So when the first striker of the 3 make the run to the wider, so the coach always wanted the one that is in the middle, the striker, to run in this, to create this space for either Donwell or the 3rd striker. So it was this, for this purpose, for this movement, you want to create this, to create this space, because you can see that this space is the one that is closer to the goal. So this space is away from the goal, and this space is away from the goal. So in most games that we played, this was a principal movement for the 3 strikers in front. So when the ball is this side, is this movement, and then this space is either for me, for number 8, or for, and me, I finished the movement like this. So you had a bit of freedom to actually shuttle left, right, and depending on where the ball is. I had, like I said in the beginning, I had a lot of, I was very fortunate that I was part of a team that was already well established, you know, under the guidance of the proprietor, Mr. Hanif Adams. You know, he had, this man, he has an eye of football. So you would, you wonder the kind of setup that he put in this team. So I was lucky because I went into this team, and it was automatic for me because I found people, Dono Yobe, you know, Derek Mwansa, the Congolese striker that, you know, always supported me. William Njobvu, everyone. Hobson Kalengu, the older brother to Winston, was playing central defense. So I was playing in front of a lot of experience. So it was like come, young man, and do your thing, you know. So I had a lot of freedom to move up and about in the field.
So defensively, then what would happen, breakdown, what would be the demand, and what would be the rules of engagement for the left and right fullbacks?
So in most cases, when, for example, we lose a ball, and maybe we have this guy, and we have number 8 and 3 strikers. The three strikers and the plus 1 midfielder. We are running forward like it was a counter-attack, and then we lose the ball. In most cases, the first thing, the wing backs should tuck in, close it, because what the coach demanded was, what he wanted in this case is, he wanted to tell the opponent that this is the space. We've given you the space. Why? Because this space is away from the goal. So he always advised that all the time when we lose a ball, for example, okay, we can say that maybe if the ball was this side, we'll say the right back was also moving. So in this case, I'll bring back one of the midfielders, because number 8, if the ball is this side, is one midfielder that start attack, and this one will make some late runnings. So in this case, maybe the ball, we lose the ball from here, so maybe this one is the one that starts. So this guy, because the attack was this side on the right side, so the number 3 is tucking in, and the central defense, we make compact this place. So we want to attract the opponent in the space outside, because we know that we have men on the middle here. So whatever the case, if they put the ball behind this, the number 2, the number 4, these are like principles, like automatic principles of defense. So one of the central defenders is the one is going to cover, and the number 6 comes to close this space, and one of the midfielders that was waiting for a late run going forward is the one that comes and takes up the number 6 position. Like that, by the time you are delaying this kind of, you delay your opponents, everyone had have time to come back and recover. You know, the number 2 come back, the striker, the first striker of the third, the second striker, the third striker, the number 8 also is coming back, and if you will still need more men, you can still bring one of the strikers, can still come down to help in defense.
So, but lots of freedom generally.
Yes. As for me, I had a lot of freedom to.
Was it the same for the other players who were playing?
No, some players were given restrictions. For example, number 6 was always told to remain. Number 6 was told to keep the position, because you already, you're number 6. You already have number 6 already had 2 attacking midfielders. So there's no point for him to try and venture going forward. Of course, if it's necessary, he used to go, but in most cases, if the right back goes, the number 3 stays, the number 6 stays, because he's the one that is going to give cover if at all there is a counter attack. If the left back goes, number 2 stays, and number 6. But the rest of us, we are free to make movements, because what we need is to create spaces for each other and see that we can arrive at a chance.
So I'm just looking at the trend then. So 2 attacking midfielders, and at the time a lot of teams were playing 4-4-2, and maybe because they were not attacking quick enough, so it was possible for you to actually enjoy and actually recover. But just let's move it forward a bit. Phyton Simkonda at LD, what was his belief?
With Coach Phyton, we played a 4-4-2. We played a 4-4-2 classic, like a typical 4-4-2. So, and a 4-4-2 is, I think, for me, is much easier in transitions. depending on the ability of the wingers to supplement attack and the midfield, and also if you have these guys, the wing backs, who are, you know, quick enough to go and make crosses. I think the 4-4-2 usually it is much easier to recover in defense and to go in counter attack, I think.
So was it a bit of a culture shift, or it was more like it, because more freedom in the 4-3-3? But once you started playing the 4-4-2, just tell us some of the changes that actually were demanded of you.
I think for me, I didn't have a problem in adjusting to adjust. So this is the time that now, as an individual, I had to step it up a little bit, in a sense that I need to learn how to go and attack and defend. In the 4-3-3 formation, I didn't pay much attention in the defense. Maybe the reason why, because I always thought I have a man behind me. So like all the time I knew that I have someone behind me, and I have another one that all the time is helping me. So in a 4-4-2 formation, I remember this time I was playing with Sidin Kalume. So he's a guy that most cases he also helped me a lot in such a way that he advised me to go forward, and he told me that he can still do the dirty work alone here. But even in some cases that we are lacking in numbers, it was easier for me to still come back and make the two like this. And this is where I think some people started to call me box to box, because I would come like this, start playing with number 6, and I would easily go and make a number in the attack, and I would still come and make a number in the defense. I was young, and I'm excited. I'm happy that I'm playing in a Premier League team, and for me, I didn't think about reserve or what. It is just to go there, enjoy myself, and
I'm just thinking. So you go up, you're playing with two traditional forwards. They go up, and you're there in the hole, and you've got both wingers committed there.
Yes.
So what was Phaeton Simkonda's belief? So you had Sidney Kalume playing in that position,
number 6, yes.
So what was the demand for these 4 players, especially who joined the attack? Was it 1 up, 3 down?
All the time. It was all the time. Like I said before, it was all the time. If the right back is going to help the attack, for example, he's the one with the ball. The right back, he's the one with the ball. So it was automatic. This is like an emphasis all the time. The coach will say, I want, when one fullback goes, one should just remain. It doesn't matter, should remain. So it was a principle of all the time you need 1 up, 3 down. 1 up. So if for example, the ball is left side, it was the same principle. It was the same. So it was the same. 3 down, and he is all the time the first person to come and cover the defense. So obviously there are times that you can delay the attack. Maybe there are times that the attack is too quick for you, but the football is a game of situations. We cannot predict. We cannot say that in all the cases we're able to catch up with the attack. Sometimes they even create a chance, and maybe they try to score. But in most cases, this is the principle. And if you have 3 plus, so it's like you have 4 men. Obviously, the other team will leave a maximum of 2 players. So it will be like 4 against 2, which is, again, it works to the advantage of the attacking team.
So worked very well.
Yes.
Under Big Five. So you also worked with Oswald Mtapa. What ideas did he come with? So
with Oswald Mtapa, now it was like going back to the academy for me. It was much easier to adapt to his ideas, his philosophy. Why? Because with Oswald Mtapa, it was he gave freedom to each and every player to express themselves. So with Oswald, it was not difficult for a lot of us, all the players. It was like, okay, guys, now we are here. Let's go and play football. So with him, now we introduced a kind of game that we are a little bit more faster, because Oswald brought in a lot of more younger players. Stanley Shimbi, I remember, came to the scene, and it's like introduced a lot of younger players in the first team, so in the first lineup. So it was now like a little bit more faster. You know, the previous years it was good, but it was like more of a mature kind of football, whereby we are organizing all the time. You know, all the time we're trying to organize and find a way better over. But with Coach Oswald, we came, and then it was like, now let's play football. Now it was all about football. And then I remember HH also started playing, and Thomas Mlendema here, you know, the guys that HH love to play too much with the ball, and Thomas all the time man to man, because it was still, this kind of football still existed. So with Coach Oswald, it was about football, you know, like the free flow of football, like we can see now, you know, with the junior teams, whereby there's a freedom to move around, the freedom to score, the freedom to, anyone can score, you know. So it was a very good experience with all these coaches.
Let's talk of your time. Of course, you played under Fighton Simkonda again at Zesco United. Any fundamental changes there?
So when I went to Zesco United, I think there was a very big change, because I remember then there was a kind of football that Zesco United played, not the one that you see now. And I remember one game we were playing, and then, you know, we tried to do our thing, because we come from a culture where we like to pass the ball around. So we come to this game. So in first half we play, it's 0-0, and it's finished. So before the start of the second half, so I see that the senior players, like I remember Enoch Sakala and Nicholas Zulu, call the team together, and then they're okay, it's me, HH, and William. So we want to tell you that there's, if this kind of football is failed, we usually switch. So we go to express. So they used to call it this way. So I laughed. I thought it's a joke, you know. So he said, William, so your job is not to go and get correct balls from the defense. Your job is to come and get the second ball. So thankfully, I want to see what's going on. So I'm quickly adjust myself. So when they start, mine was just to go closer.
So Enoch
Sakala and
Nicholas Zulu.
These guys were good with the head. So in short, they were telling me, if you can run through the channels, run. But come closer to, come all the time when the boy is with the goalkeeper, know that they're not going to, it's not going to, there will be no passing around with the ball. Because we call it express. We want to go faster, reach the goal faster, and see if we can get a result. And to my surprise, it worked. And I said, okay, so this is a change for me, but I'll have to adjust. So I adjusted to this kind of food.
So the wingers will be up, but what was happening during a breakdown? When you go express, I'm sure, and what was the position
so when you go
of the wingers?
When you go express, so we for example, we put like this. So it's I think that the strikers are too deep, so we put them a little bit here, and the defense go like this, and the number what, and the strikers, the forward, they come like this. You know, I don't know, depending on the system the opposition is playing. So when the strikers go like this, so our wingers will come like this. Because what is going to happen here, if this ball is kicked long, for example, the number 3 starts, he kick it long. So the idea is either touch the ball here, Sakua go, touch the ball here, I correct and I make this pass, or I make this pass, or I make this pass, or touch the ball here, the other striker go. So this is like the idea of this, the express, like this, the kind of football that they introduced me to. You know.
First time you ever played like that?
Yes, it was the first time, because from LOD the culture was play around with the ball all the time, regardless of how difficult it is. You try to play all the time. You try to play.
So it was a different
Approach.
fight on Simkonda you've...
Yes, because they said here is a club where result is the cardinal. It's not, if you come, we go back to LOD, it was not, it was about result, but most importantly it was about player development, because Mr. Adams always wanted to sell players.
Okay. Tell us about your time at Kiryat Shimon. Yeah. What started happening to William, and what was the demand rate?
So, first thing, when you're a foreign player, the most, I don't know if I can call it stressful thing or it is a difficult thing. I don't know how to call it. But when you're a foreign player, you work like 3 times harder than the rest of the team. So I come to this strange country. I'm still young, and thankfully I'm the kind of player that like challenges, and I demand a lot from myself. So again, it was much easier to adapt to the kind of football that I found there, but it was a challenge because I had to work 2-3 times harder than the rest of the team.
So what did Coach Rami Benchimon actually demand of you, and what system was Kiryat playing?
So it went back to the system, the second system, the system I played with at Lusaka Dynamos. So it was two holding midfielders, and he demanded that I go in attack and I come and make a 2 all the time when we are defending. All the time when we is organized defense, he demanded that I come back and stand with the number 6. So depending on the kind of system or the kind of the strength the opponent had, so in some cases we played a 4-3-3 like this. So since I played these systems before, it was not strange for me. But the thing that was a little bit challenging for me is when the coach demanded that all the time when if the opponent team has a best wing back, he demanded that I am the one that always should come and close this defender all the time. All the games, I can't forget a detail about this, because I heard him shout, "William, William," all the time. Even the goalkeeper shout. Even in the tactical trainings to the game, preparation for the game, he would ask me all the time, "You are right side because today you are right side because of the number 3. You should remember that." So depending, if number 2 is the one that today you are left side of midfield because of the number 3, because you'll
be the guy to break up the play.
You know, you do it well. You can come and you know how to come back in midfield. So I ask of you to all the time come back like this. If the number 6 is good, again the system change. We go 4-3-3, but I'm asked to play all the time on top of number 6 like this all the time, because he knows that this guy is the one that is their strongest point. So in Kiryat, the most challenging thing was that I never played in a certain kind of position for a longer time. It's like every week, depending on the opponents, you know, there is some kind of switch in twitch. You know, the Europeans, most of the times they play with the for them the tactic is primary. The other things, they come second.
Okay. So which game do we do for probably your pick of the ties wearing a Chipolo Polo jersey?
Nigeria, Zambia, Nigeria, 2010 AFCON.
Tell us, how did you line up? First, let's start off with Zambia.
So we played the 4-4-2. I think it was a 4-4-2 classic, like this. So it was Kennedy Mwene, Joseph Msonda, Chintu Kampamba, Emmanuel Mbola, who was here?
Stopila
Nsunzu, yes. Chris Katongo, William Njobvu, which was, and then Thomas Nyerenda, Felix Katongo, Jacob Mulenga, and James Chamanga.
You're coming up against the Nigeria side. They started off playing 4-3-3. So, what was basically the instruction from Hevrena?
So, the basic instruction for this game was close this game. Close this game, and if we get a chance, we score, we win this game. So, the first principle for the midfield was we have to make the block. These four players, which was me, Thomas, Chintu, and Sunzu, should always stick together. In short, me and Thomas are supposed to protect these guys at all costs. These were the instructions from Hevrena. So, if you remember, well, this game ended 0-0 because I think tactically we were sound. Though going forward, we were not very effective. And going forward in attack, the idea was we must try put the balls in the wings, Chris Katongo or Felix Katongo. And because we played this game, we played James Samanga and Jacob Mlenga. You can recall these guys are good with their head. So the idea was Chris bringing crosses for James and Jacob. Felix do the same thing, but also with Felix, he can go and come inside and try to shoot here because Felix Katongo had a very good shoot. So the whole game, the whole idea was the first was to close this game because we are playing Nigeria.
So everyone would go, but then for Joseph Msonda and Mbola?
We used Joseph Msonda was instructed not to go anywhere. We did not use this wing. So like 3/4 of the game, he went sometimes, but the 3/4 of the game, Mbola was the one that was advised to go. And if you watch this game closely, you find that Mbola, in most cases, he was here. He found himself in these spaces all the time. So in this game, we use this attack, and then I was the one that give the support behind the attack, and Thomas was the one that give cover when the three men that remain behind, because the plan was to close this game.
What were your specific instructions in this game?
My specific instructions were to all the time stay close with Thomas. These things he shout. There are times I got carried away. I went trying to make some things. When you are playing, you are young. You want all the time. You are excited to go forward, but all the time the coach will shout back in position. So in most of the time I'm in this position. I get carried away. I try to go forward. Most of the times I was in this position. No, if not like this, I'm a little bit like this, just close to Thomas.
So we're talking about the Nigerians, Dixon Tuhu,
yes,
John Obi Mikel, Peter Odemwinge.
So
classified.
Yes, there are. This Nigerian team, I remember most of these guys played in the Premier League, and a lot of them played in the top leagues in, like, a lot of Nigerian players who play their trades in Europe. Most of them play in top leagues. So it was a big challenge for most of the Zambian players. Zambia was like a one-star player. If you cannot stick together, then we cannot win this game. But thankfully, you know, we had a bench that always encouraged the team to stick together, defend as a team. I remember all the time he shout James and Jacob to all the time, calm down. There was a certain line that we start the defense. So come in this position and you do it together, and we did it well together because this was the instructions of the coach.
Yeah, and this game, without Renford Calaban, you were apparently the replacement. Was it the most different game that we played at the 2010?
Yes, it was different in a sense that instead of more attackers, it was a little bit of more players in defensive positions. Why? Because I came in not as Renford. I came in as William, the one that plays like central midfielder. And Renford he's like an attacker all the time. You know, of course, he comes back to defend, but he's not a player that, you know, you can say that he's going to do the defense work all the time. So it was like, okay, I put the two guys that are going to do the doggy work all the time, and then we have Mbola to come and try and help the attack. It was like, okay, let's see, if we can get a counter-attack, we're going to get a counter-attack. If not, let's just keep it tight.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we lost that game. Missed penalty.
Yes, yes.
But at the end of the day, perhaps one of your best performances in the Chipolo Polo shirt.
I wouldn't know. If you tell me it is, then I'll say, yeah. I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to represent my country at this level. And it is always a honor for any other player in Zambia to do the same. So we give our hearts for Mother Zambia, and I hope that many other who are coming can do the same.
William, thanks.